Okay, my watch says 5:30, so I think we'll get underway here. I want to welcome everyone to our final scheduled summer landowner webinar session. As you can see on your screen, this is the sixth of a series that we have presented over the last 6 weeks, and want to welcome those who are returning for another look at our sessions, and at the same time, for those who have not been and have not been on one of our webinar series before, your microphones will be muted during. If you're following along on a computer anytime during that presentation, you can type in questions in the chat box, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And at the end of the presentation, we will open up the mics for to give everybody a chance to ask questions if they would like to. And all of our webinars are posted on our website. If you go to peoplescompany.com, click on the YouTube icon on the upper right-hand corner, you can then select the webinar that interests you and be able to listen to that session from the YouTube site. My name's Terry Pauling. I'm a broker with People's Company, and our guest speaker today is Steve Johnson. Steve is a farm management specialist for Iowa State Extension Service in central Iowa. And Steve and I kind of talked here in the spring, late spring, when we started to plan our webinar series, and thought that September would be a good time to talk about the new Farm Bill and how it was going to affect our farm producers, and ultimately, in some cases, the value of land that is being bought and sold out there. However, Congress has seen fit not to work on the Farm Bill this summer. So, Steve, it gets a little bit difficult, I guess, to tell people just what's going to happen here. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And again, you know, Congress did do something. Both the Senate and the House have passed farm bills, but the House left behind about 80% of their funding sitting inside that SNAP, or that Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So no one's really sure how we're going to be able to move forward or get conference committees together so that we can have a law that we could enact. In my presentation today, I think what's most important to recognize is, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty. We could be at conference committee in a month. We've got 9 days that Congress will be in session, but something tells me that things like Syria and funding the government will probably take precedence over the House of Representatives passing the food assistance title. So here's what I'd like to do tonight. I just want to review the status, this challenge that the conference committee has. I don't think that there's anything insurmountable about the Farm Bill that the conference committee couldn't decide. It's just that most of the funding is still hung up in the fact that the House passed that farm program side but didn't pass the food assistance side. So what I thought I'd do tonight is just talk about the differences between the Senate and the House versions, and especially around this whole idea of a farm safety net. And then I'd like to bring some new acronyms. That's what we need. We need more government acronyms. ARC, RLC, AMP, SCO. And how would they fit into this bigger picture of a farm safety net? And then, as we said earlier, recognize that the House still hasn't passed the food assistance title, or SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance. And that is where most of the controversy lies. Most of the Democrats in the House, you know, want to keep the existing funding, even though we know the funding for food stamps has increased dramatically over the last 5 years. And then I'd like to summarize tonight by talking about what paths forward we likely have for the conference committee. So with that, let's go back and review. The 2008 Farm Bill was passed into law in June of 2008. It was 5 years of funding, but it had a baseline approach that would provide programming into 13, and that was fortunate because what we got in the 2008 Farm Bill were the direct payments, the price counter-cyclical payments, marketing loans, of course the continuation of CRP, EQIP, and other conservation programs including CSP. The biggest decision a producer had to make was whether they wanted to elect acre, which was average crop revenue election. So this was the safety net program. There was a price safety net, that was CCP, and there was a revenue safety net, and that was acre. And again, acre was offered first in 2009, and less than 20% of all farmers in the nation are in the acre program because acre had a cost. You had to give up 20% of your direct payments to be an acre, and acre was triggered based on state and farm yields and national cash prices. And then also remember in 8, there was the SURE program, Supplemental Revenue Assistance, but that was the new permanent disaster program, but it only had 4 years of funding, and funding ran out on SURE in 2011, so there was not SURE funding for that 2012 crop. Now, that was the past. That was 5 years ago that Congress had passed the 2008 Farm Bill and it was signed into law. Let's look at what we call the 13 Farm Bill. We didn't get a 12 Farm Bill because the Farm Bill expired on September 30th of 12, but Congress, in the wee hours of the first day of January, extended the existing Farm Bill, so we pretty much operated on the last 8 months on what that 2008 Farm Bill provided. Here's what 13 looks like. This would be a Farm Bill that could be enacted on October 1st, but look what it eliminates. Pretty much everything that we had. No DPs, $23 an acre, higher on corn, less on soybeans, dependent upon your base acres and your old or new yield. CCP, the counter-cyclical payment program, eliminated. It was a price support program, but it was at such low prices, around $2.63 a bushel on corn and $6 a bushel on beans, that we haven't triggered counter-cyclical payments since 2005. Acre never triggered a payment in Iowa. We never got our revenue low enough to ever trigger acre. Now, it is possible that those that are an acre in 13 might trigger. If they do, it will probably be on the corn side and not the soybean side, but it will be very dependent upon what the Iowa yields are and what the national cash price is for this year. And of course, SURE was eliminated a year ago, but that type of program was gone for 12. What the new Farm Bill will continue is marketing loans. So we'll have to have some sort of, if you would, county loan rate, or what we're going to call today the reference price, so that loans can still be made by the FSA office or the CCC loan program. EQIP will continue. The CRP program will continue, but it will be capped at roughly 25 million acres, and there will be other conservation programs. The big one is number 3. Federal crop insurance continues. But what the Senate version of the Farm Bill says, it's tied to conservation compliance. So, Mr. Producer, if you want a crop insurance subsidy, you're going to have to make sure that you comply to all required conservation practices. Now, conservation compliance since 1986 was always tied to that direct payment. With no direct payment, the Senate wants it tied to the crop insurance subsidies. Also, the Senate version had a limit on crop insurance. If your adjusted gross income, that's the 3-year average, and it's adjusted so it's net, if it's over $750,000, you no longer qualify for full crop insurance subsidy. You're going to pay an additional roughly 15% than what your neighbors would pay, and that would not be acted for at least a year. And then I think the most important thing we can talk about tonight is both the Senate and House versions have multi-year safety nets. Remember, crop insurance isn't multi-year, it's just year to year. It's based on a February futures price or an October futures price, whichever is higher. And of course, it's based on your farm's yields, if you're using a revenue product, or county yields if you're using a group or GRIP product. Let's drill down inside briefly, if we could, of what's the difference. Well, the primary difference is the Senate is proposing an ARC program, agricultural risk coverage, and the House is proposing a revenue loss coverage. They both operate very similarly. I don't think there's going to be a lot of discussion. They're both going to use 5-year Olympic averages. When we say 5-year Olympic average, hold up your hand, throw out the high, throw out the low. It's just the 3-year simple average. Both yields and price. It will likely be county yields or farm yields, the last 5. It will be the national average cash price. That's that weighted average cash price for every bushel that's sold. And because the marketing year begins on September 1st and ends on August 31st, we never know what that national average cash price is until the end of September. And then also they'll use both yields and prices, so there'll be an interaction, if you would, of cups and caps, that whole idea of transition yields that we use in crop insurance, as well as reference prices. So do I think that is that big of an issue? Probably not. But the devil's in the details. I think that if we do get a farm bill and it gets out of conference committee, I think it'll probably be the ARC program, agricultural risk coverage. A farmer will have to make a decision. Are you going to be in the ARC at the county level, or are you going to be in the ARC at the farm level? Now, you can look through the details, but the most important thing regarding county or farm is in the very bottom. The payment on the county level is based on 80% of the planted acres, and on the farm level, only 65%. Because of that additional 15%, most all producers will be in the ARC county level. And very few people will see the incentive to take that 15% loss. And then you can see all the way to the right, the House has a little different version. In all likelihood, those aren't big differences, but because most of the data has already been worked out, I think that the multi-year safety net will probably be ARC, and a farmer will make that decision, ARC County or ARC Farm. The other choice that will be included is coming from the House side. The House doesn't really want to move away from, if you would, the idea of price. Most everybody's moved to revenue yield times price, but the House, because it represents a lot of the South, and we've got products like rice and cotton and peanuts that really can't compete in the global marketplace, so they have price protection. So the House version is keeping this whole idea of a AMP or a PLC payment, and you can see what the acronyms mean, adverse market payment or price loss coverage. But in essence, these replace the old CCP. As I said earlier, we haven't used the countercyclical payment since 2005 for corn and soybeans and wheat, because our prices have been 2 to almost 4 times higher than what those trigger levels are. But I would guess that if the conference committee comes together, they're going to say, hey, we've got to do something for these poor commodities that can't compete in the global marketplace, and we've got to provide them price support. And then the last major difference between the two is what we call reference price. We always call this target price, but since there is no direct payment associated with this farm program, the Senate would like to use some sort of a 55% of that 5-year Olympic average, again, hold up your hand, throw out the high, throw out the low. It's a 3-year simple average. Probably would use lower reference prices. And I'm saying those are the loan rates. So if a farmer harvested a 14 corn crop and decided he wanted to take it under a CCC loan, that's the loan rate. And today, that's about $1.95 in central Iowa. So about $1 more that they could get should they want to use the CCC loan. But then look briefly in the left-hand corner, the house has a little bit higher prices, and they want to set those by law, so this would be the price set for the next 5 years, because this farm bill would run through the 2018 row crop year. So again, slight differences. These aren't major. Everything that I've talked about concerning this difference is all about a multi-year price support and the continuation of a marketing loan program. Now, let's go to one more level. There is another safety net. It's called the SCO, or if you would, shallow loss coverage. SCO is supplemental coverage option. It would tie on to your crop insurance. And everything that I read about this would be a product that would be provided by the crop insurance industry. Now, I don't think the crop insurance industry is too excited about this product. They prefer to keep their federally subsidized crop insurance program in place, but this does have some advantages. It is basically a county-level product that a producer could add on to their crop insurance coverage, because what it's intended to do, it's intended to provide coverage in that soft spot or that shallow loss that is that deductible that the producer has. Deductible. Most Iowa farmers are using an 80 or 85% level of coverage. That's the highest level of coverage for a farm-level product using revenue protection. So they have a deductible of 15% or 20%. They could actually purchase this SCO product that would be able to take a part of that deductible away. Now, there will be an interaction of that choice of an SCO, and so the next slide is busy. I apologize for it. It's actually coming from Congressional Research Service, so we've not seen a lot written about this. But that decision about what a farmer would do regarding the ARC program, that agricultural risk coverage, the Senate version, or the RLC program, overlaps into this crop insurance or this SCO product. So there is some complexity that comes with the SCO. It will likely have to be a product that will have to be written and managed by the risk management agency. I doubt there would be an SCO available for the 14 crop unless it would be some sort of a pilot, and most of the pilots that take place happen in the I states, so Iowa might be one of those pilots. And then look all the way over to the right-hand side. There's the STAX program for cotton. So cotton is going to have their own, if you would, crop insurance shallow loss program. So you can see that the South will rise again. This isn't necessarily about corn and beans and wheat. Specifically addresses some other related issues that occur. With that, I'd like to go ahead and summarize and field questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Steve? Okay, I don't see any, Steve. Congress go ahead and passes that food assistance program.
They appoint a conference committee. The conference committee meets, and we write a farm bill and we enact the law. Now, just because it's a law and signed by the president, I would say it'd take at least 90 days to go through proper channels and to be able to provide all the rules and regulations and train all the FSA staff and write the software nationwide. So even if we get a conference committee and a farm bill in October, probably going to be January before we'd see many details. If we don't get a farm bill till December, I'm not even sure that we'd have the details by March. It would probably be some sort of a summer sign-up like we typically do now. Another path might be what we've seen from Congress before. They just can't come to an agreement. There's just too much difference between the Senate and the House. And they just extend the farm bill. You know, worked fine for the last 6 years. Let's, you know, extend it. And if they do extend the farm bill, I would expect it to be a 2-year extension, because if they extend it for 1 year, it expires in September of 14 in a midterm election. So if they do extend the farm bill, I would expect it not to expire till 15, so you don't get this partisan types of issues out in front of an election. I think another path might be this. Since most farmers are saying we don't need the direct payments, take them away, Congress might say, hey, we'll do exactly what you want. We'll extend the farm bill, but we'll just take away the direct payments. The issue becomes, that'll work in corn, wheat, soybean country, but it won't work in cotton, rice, and peanut country, because they're not going to give up those direct payments without getting something. And also this issue of conservation compliance. Conservation compliance is tied to those direct payments. And so I think that Congress would struggle to say, hey, we're going to tie conservation compliance to crop insurance. Sorry. That would have to come with a new farm bill. So I'm not sure how they would ever handle conservation compliance if we didn't have direct payments for corn and wheat and soybeans. Another path, I'm not thinking this is the one, but you hear it threatened. Congress can't reach an agreement, so we just go back to permanent law. And we don't have a commodity program. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but not highly probable. I mean, the type of money that Congress is talking about extending on this farm program is $17 to $18 billion a year. It includes those crop insurance subsidies. So I don't think that's the path that Congress will follow. But even if we went back to permanent law, we still have crop insurance. Crop insurance was negotiated through 2015. That's that SRA agreement that the Risk Management Agency has with the crop insurance industry. That's why I think that if we extended the Farm Bill for 2 years, but made some changes in the direct payments, crop insurance is the centerpiece. It's not a multi-year type of safety net that a lot of farmers and farm groups would like, but at least it's the subsidized crop insurance program that we pretty much had since the mid-90s and subsidized since 2001. But again, I don't think there's a perfect answer. I thought I'd conclude tonight by using a probability distribution, 100% probability that something's going to happen. If I had to bet, I would say that it's possible that we'd enact a new law, but you know, we've heard this over the last 2 years that we're going to get a new farm bill, and it's pretty obvious is that Congress, especially the House, really struggles, and that to get everybody on one page that we get a new farm bill, all bet 18% with 100% probability. So again, you know, maybe 1 out of 5. I would say the best bet as of early September is that Congress extends the existing farm bill, probably not now, probably sometime this fall when they can't come to an agreement, likely 2 years, and they at least reduce the direct payments, whether they take the direct payments away for corn, wheat, and soybeans. Maybe they do over this 2-year period, or we have an interim period of 1 year of direct payments and then the payments disappear. It still creates this whole issue of, do we have an acre program? I'm not sure whether acre would be funded beyond 2013, so there is no multi-year risk. If we head back for $4 corn, the safety net's sitting down at $2.63. If we head back for $9 beans, the safety net's at $6. And so there isn't much more than crop insurance that a farmer would have. I think it would affect land values, to be quite honest. I think there would be a lot of pressure, especially from the lending community, about the importance of crop insurance. And again, with the lower APHs that we're going to see from the variable yields, we're going to see higher crop insurance premiums in 2014. And then maybe we just end support programs. You know, a lot of farmers have said, get the government out of farming. But keep crop insurance. Oh, by the way, keep subsidized crop insurance. I don't want to pay more than 30% I'm paying now, and let the government pay 70% of my premium. That's the average in the state of Iowa. So with that, a lot of uncertainty. I don't think there'll be a lot of clarity, especially in the month of September. I would think that sometime in October or November, maybe Christmas, maybe the day before Christmas, there'll be this effort to try to get the House vote on the food assistance title so that the funding can flow and the conference committee can make decisions not just on the farm program but on the food assistance title as well. I don't think that you'll see the House move forward until we see the rest of that funding. In other words, food assistance passes the House, then a conference committee is appointed, and the conference committee hammers out the differences between the Senate version of the Farm Bill and the House version of the Farm Bill. With that, are there questions?
Well, Steve, one of the things Secretary Vilsack the last few days has been adamant that doing nothing is not an option. And I don't know if the administration has any way of forcing this issue or not, is there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I can see the frustration from, Vilsack's point of view, but to me, this is the House of Representatives. The Senate's pretty much said, hey, listen, we're waiting on you. We waited on you last year, and you didn't get it done. And we're still waiting on you. This is all about the House of Representatives, but it's about the food assistance, the SNAP, and it's about spending. And so I would say the farm program that we talk about with 11 different titles, I would say that the farm program is kind of caught between the partisanship that's taking place in the Senate. And it's interesting because, most of the rural states will want this farm program, but a lot of those that don't want to increase spending for the food assistance program are from those same states. And so a little bit of a dilemma where you can say, hey, do we want to spend more government money? We've only owe $17 trillion now. And so not a good time as far as the farm program, but we've got high commodity prices. Farmers seem to have done pretty well the last few years. The Economic Research Service came out last week and projected net farm income at a record $120.6 billion. And so, again, I think farmers would like some sort of the ability to say, do we have a multi-year safety net or don't we? And the answer is no one knows.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Hearing none. One other thing that I thought of on the ARC program, what you know about it, Steve, do you think they'll tie that to crop production or crop insurance record keeping in any way for production
No.
and acreage reports?
No, I don't think so. I think ARC will basically be the substitute for acre. I call it acre
Okay.
on steroids. You know, it'll likely be just a county or farm decision. So I don't think farm record keeping, I don't think farmers are going to give FSA their yields. They're going to continue giving yields to their crop insurance industry. And so I think we're going to keep this split. To be quite honest, ARC is about all that FSA gets. ARC and the likelihood of acreage certification for crop insurance purposes. You're going to take direct payments away from the FSA. You're going to take CCP away from the FSA. You're going to take acre away from the FSA. ARC is likely the program that they'll end up administering, and it'll be free, so most farmers will still want to sign up for ARC because that's that multi-year safety net.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? One last time. Seeing none and hearing none, want to thank everyone for the participation. Tentatively, we have Steve coming back to Indianola on February 11th, and I'm going to talk a little bit about crop insurance and the 2014 crop year. So there's a good chance that we may have some information about the new farm bill at that time, depending on what Congress does in the meantime. So I will be getting information out about that meeting, and everybody will be welcome to attend that. I want to thank everybody for attending again today. This is the last of our summer webinar series. Just a reminder, you can go back and review any one of the 6 sessions that we had on our website on the YouTube tab and learn more about it. And feel free to contact our office at any point in time if you have any questions about any one of the sessions. And finally, Steve, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come in and help us a little bit understanding of what to look forward in our new farm bill. So with that,
No problem. My
I'll
pleasure.
say good night, everybody, and